Hello and welcome to my video, lesson 5.3 on rate of change. So rate of change is still the same idea as all of our other topics so far, which is all about slope, which is all about rise over run, which is all about the change in y over the change in x. So let's take a look at two different options here. We can look at a graph and we're going to look at a table of values. And a lot of people are going to find this table of values thing fairly easy, I hope. And it depends on what your values are, but I'm hoping and I'm expecting that most people are going to find this very helpful to notice. So the change in y is asking what is the change from one value to the next in any of our tables. So in y, the changes, well, we have plus 3. We have plus 3, we have plus 3, and we have plus 3. Over and over again, you could continue this pattern down. Now, what is the change in x? Well, it's the same process to get it. What are we adding or subtracting to get our next value? Well, we're adding plus 2, plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. So our change in y over our change in x is the 3 over 2 value that we have. And if we want to put that in a calculator or get it by hand or by our head, it's 1.5. And that is our slope, or our rate of change. All right, if we look at this graph, or this line, which doesn't really have an x and y axes, we can do the same sort of thing. Well, what is the change from one intersection? So when it touches the square, touches the square, touches the square. Every time it touches the square, we can put a little dot to help us remember. But what is the change in y between each intersection? Whoops. The change in y is actually just 1 in this case. 1 over, what is the change in x? Well, our change in x is just 1. So this is a very, very simple slope of 1. 1 over 1, or 1. Let's take a look at a slightly more challenging one right here, where we have, this is an intersection, this is an intersection, and this is also an intersection. Well, what is the change in y for any given set? Well, it's still 1. But what is the change in x? It is 3. So we have, actually normally we would put that on put it on the bottom. So anywho, go like this. I don't know why. We just do it that way. Anyway, so we have 1 in y and 3 in x. But we have to recognize that instead of going up by 1, we're going down by 1, which means we're going negative 1. So this is negative 1/3. All right, and here is a more real-life example where we're looking at this table of values. And it's a car driving on the highway. So I'm driving to Calgary, and I'm taking my time to get there. I think this is a little bit too long because it's 4 hours. But anywho, we're driving maybe to Lethbridge. There you go, from Edmonton to Lethbridge, and we're trying to get there. So after 1 hour, what is our kilometers? Well, we've gone up to 110, and then after 2 hours, we're up another 110. And every set of hours, that seems like it's too much still. Every set of hours, yeah, that's way too much. Every set of hours, it goes up by another 110. Plus 110, plus 110, plus 110. And this, whereas the hours is only going up by 1, up by 1, up by 1. So we can now take this as our change in y over the change in x. So the change in y is 110, change in x is 1, and we can notice that this says hours, this says kilometers. So when we divide those two, we get kilometers per hour. So 110 kilometers per hour. This person is speeding, but not by a lot. So it's no, 110 right on, that's fine. It's 110 on the way to Calgary. Anyway, so 110 kilometers per hour. And you notice that actually a graph tells us more than just distance versus time. It's actually telling us the speed. The slope is the speed. The slope is equal to the speed, kilometers per hour, which is pretty cool. It's pretty neat to notice that. And if you get the slope, this is a little bit of an extra tidbit. If you get the slope of a speed versus time graph, or velocity versus time graph, it is now the acceleration. So anyways, slope is a very helpful tool when we are talking about distance versus time, as well as many other graphs. I hope that this video helps you understand rate of change a little bit better. Good luck!